Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Professors of Profit vlogcast. I'm your host, Dr. F Scott Feil, and I'm joined today by two actual medical doctors, Dr. Mark and Dr. Ali Novitsky, longtime friends. I'm excited to talk about what they're up to and catch up with them a little bit. But Mark and Ali, why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves and where you are today and what you're up to?
Well, I'm Allie. I'm the better half, of course.
Very true.
So, gosh, where do we even start? So when I first met you, right, we were still in medical school and had this dream that we would probably retire as physicians. And that's not how it's looking right now, at least from my standpoint. So essentially, got married and went down. I'm a neonatologist, and Mark will tell you more about what he does. And about 5 years ago, just made this leap of faith where I really started to follow what my passion was. And it started, and we'll get into it more, but it kind of just really started as a pipe dream a little bit and then just blew up into something that I couldn't have really even believed would have happened. But with that being said, this is Mark's second week on the job. He's joining me in my company, Life Coaching for Women Physicians. And I'll let Mark tell you a little bit more.
So I've got to impress the boss here. Actually, yeah, this journey, F. Scott and I, this journey goes way, way back. F. Scott and I were college roommates. We actually did a rotation at Wake Forest Medical Center together. I guess it was more volunteering on the PT unit, which was very cool with good old Cindy. Shout out to Cindy. Um, so I met my lovely wife here in medical school. We always had aspirations of working together someday. It's just was a pipe dream. I went into psychiatry, child psychiatry. Allie went into neonatology, and it did not look like we were going to end up working together. However, Allie will get more into her journey in terms of the medical system. But, I followed the more traditional route and went from Temple Medical School, did residency at Temple as well, and then a fellowship at Thomas Jefferson University, also in Philadelphia. And then went out and worked in, several different, had my hand in several different areas of the psych world, inpatient, residential, but have settled into outpatient. And, it's if there's one thing about the pandemic is everyone has needed some assistance. It's really told on everybody, ourselves included. But it really, it sucked more time out of my family life and my life as a husband. So in the last year, I was always opening extra time and have looked to join forces with Allie, taking a step back from psychiatry. And she's thought outside of the box, and it's really paid off.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. You hit a lot of high points there, but yeah, that volunteer gig that we did in Winston-Salem there at the Baptist Hospital actually led to me going into physical therapy and kind of confirmed that I did not want to do anything with English. So shout out to Wake Forest's Bowman Gray Medical Center there. That really started my journey, at least as well as yours. So I think, like you said, the pandemic was a good time for change. I think it was really a good time to reflect, and a lot of time for introspection and just kind of looking inside and seeing, okay, do I have to pivot? If so, how do I have to pivot? I know myself, I was clinical for 15 years. I was, physical therapist full on. I worked in every setting imaginable. I loved it. I love working with patients. But when the pandemic hit, I was really at a kind of turning point in my life. I had just finished my EDD. I thought I wasn't going to use that till I retired. I thought, I'll just fall back on teaching, when I get older. But, my wife being a type 1 diabetic, she's already immunocompromised. I was working at a skilled nursing facility and doing home health and seeing my own patients for my mobile business. And I just, I didn't want to bring that home to her. So for me, it was a good time to kind of exit out of clinical a little bit. And it just so happened the week I stepped down from my skilled nursing job, the head of the program at University of St. Augustine reached out and asked if I was still interested in teaching. And I said, well, I wasn't as interested, but I am very interested now. So it just lined up perfectly. And I just literally went from clinical one day and the next week started up teaching full time. So, that was my pivot. And it was a good one. It really, like you said, it gave me a lot of flexibility, more time with the family, more time to work on my side businesses and my side gigs. So now I'd like to hear a little bit about, Allie, your journey and how you kind of pivoted from the medical field and what you're doing now and your current business model that you've brought Mark into as well.
Oh gosh. Okay. Get a cup of coffee and put your feet up.
Cheers. Got one ready for you.
All right. So, the whole idea, I always talk to my clients about this, but when we decided to have kids, I had no idea the struggle that would present itself with trying to be a mom like my mom was. And then also being confused and thinking that I had to provide for our family the way that my dad did. So I grew up in, mom stayed home, educated. My mom is still actually, I call her still a school psychologist, but she now just tutors on the side. And had her career early on. And my dad, also a physician, but had his office in our house. So I had two really great role models and I was trying to be both. Well, I didn't realize that was happening. Plus trying to keep up with the demands of working 24-hour shifts in the NICU. And that's intensive care unit for newborns. And so that's the kind of unit where you are required usually to stay in-house. You have to be there. And after we had our second daughter, I just looked at Mark and said, there is no way that I can keep doing this. We had babysitters upon babysitters. We had nannies. It wasn't at all what I had pictured. And so I knew I needed to make a change. And just about that time, I was about 5 years in as an attending physician. So now this would have been, after residency, after fellowship, that's 6 years, medical school is 4. So figure 11 years of training. Then I'm now 5 years past that point. I'm about 15 years in, and I knew I just wasn't going to continue this because it just was taking such a mental, emotional, and physical toll on me and also the family. And so what do you know? I get a call from a nurse practitioner friend, and she says, hey, there's a job as a national medical director with my company. So at that time, Optum Health was hiring a neonatal team. And I said, what the heck? I might as well look into it. And so I looked into the job and it was more money. It was no weekends, no holidays. It was set hours. And Mark basically looked at me and said, if you don't sign the contract, I will. And I had a little bit of, back and forth because I thought, well, what are people going to think? Did I sell out of clinical medicine? It's this badge that we wear, right? Like, oh, you work harder, you deny yourself bathroom breaks and food and water. That's really, really good. It's for the good of humanity. That's what you're taught, right? And so went into Optum Health, stayed on as a moonlighter at my job. And don't worry, the story's getting good. And, as I'm in this job, I realized, what? This isn't going to be my forever job either.
The grass was not greener.
Grass was not greener. Lots of great opportunities to learn on the business end. But I knew that this was not me. And so it was about that time I went to a wellness retreat for women physicians. And I learned that there was such a thing as physician coaching. So becoming life coach for female physicians, women physicians. And I thought that was amazing. And the thing was that growing up, everybody always said to me, you should be a life coach. You should be a life coach. And I was like, does that even exist? What is a life coach? I have no idea. So it turns out that I made a connection with somebody who was already a very successful physician coach, already breaking in she was almost making $1 million at that point a year in revenue, just doing this coaching. Her niche was very specific to a certain area. And she called me and said, hey, they have a spot available for the training certification. And I said, where do I sign up? So I paid my money, my large tuition sum. I mean, it wasn't, it was definitely a pretty penny at that point. I trusted it, went for it, became a coach in 2018. And by 2019, I had retired full-time from Optum Health and it started as a side business. I started building the business as I was working for Optum Health on my, vacation time, free time, whatnot. And as I said, by 2019, I was full all on in the business. And the commitment I made to myself is when I could replace my salary clinically, I would go all in full time. So I was just about there, and Mark said, okay, go for it. Gave my notice. And then the interesting thing, people get scared. They say, well, am I going to be able to keep this up? I said that to myself. I said, how am I going to be able to repeat the 6 figures? How am I going to be able to do that all on my own? I don't even have a team. I didn't even have a VA, a virtual assistant at that point. The next year I doubled it. The next year I doubled it. And again, I have one team member before Mark joined. And so my point is this, if you're trained like all of us have been, right? You can definitely relate to this as well. And you commit to so much. I think that the skill set you develop is endless. And if you can just believe that you can do it, you can create whatever the heck you want.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. The first thing is you went from side gig to full-time gig, and that's amazing. I strongly recommend doing that if you can. I don't ever recommend just jumping both feet in, like cutting all ties, burning the bridges, and just going for it. You can, obviously, that people have done that and it works. But I really do like the idea of starting a side gig or a side hustle and growing it until you can't side hustle it anymore. You have to go full time. My situation's a little different in that, my wife being a stay-at-home mom and a type 1 diabetic, we need medical benefits, and not just any medical benefits. We need good medical benefits. So for me, the university kind of fits that bill. It's got great benefits. I love teaching, so it's a great job. But also, I teach from home 90% of the time, and I have to go up for labs every other weekend approximately. And that gives me the flexibility that I need to still be able to work on my side hustles and my side gigs. And I love that because they're passion projects for me. They're things that I love doing. It really gives me fulfillment. And that's the next thing I want to kind of talk to you guys about is, well, why did you decide to do this? And Mark, you especially, because you're now just coming in, leaving clinical world yourself a little bit and kind of going into this. What are some of the reasons that you guys had behind the doing it? I know for me, a lot of it has to do with, financial freedom, but more so the time freedom and the ability to pick and choose what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, and why should other clinicians consider maybe doing a side gig or starting a side gig like this or a side hustle that could lead to maybe a full-time job?
Yeah, I think you used the word that I was actually thinking of as you were saying this, and that's passion. And when I met Allie, Allie played D1 softball, and she always had this passion for exercise, fitness, health. Her path in medicine didn't exactly end up there, but following that passion, it brought her back, and seeing how much Allie enjoys it and how successful she's been, and the response when we go to a conference and all of these women, she's kind of like a celebrity in this world. She's a little shy over here, but yeah, everyone's like, oh my God, you're Allie's husband. And just because she lives it, breathes it, it's really just changed so many women's lives. And I don't know, did you talk about what exactly you do?
I will, but I will say this, that I am able to contribute to medicine in a much bigger way doing what I do now. That's why I do
Yeah.
this.
And that's part of
Impact.
why I took that.
Impact.
I took that jump for the same exact reason, because we see the influence that she has. And as a child and adolescent psychiatrist, I'm going to be able to expand to partners of women physicians and to help them with issues relating to their children. And so really just expanding the level of services and making it this all-encompassing society.
Yeah.
That's one thing I noticed, like as a physical therapist, I can only treat one patient at a time. Maybe if you're in a mill clinic, you treat 2 or 3 at once, but like, at the end of the day, I'm seeing 8 to 15 patients maybe, right? And that I have impact on those 8 to 15 patients that day. And that's great. That's wonderful. I do a great job with that. But if I can coach 3 or 4 or 5 people in a group at once, right, for 4 or 5 weeks, and then go on to the next group of 8 to 10 people, and then the next group of 10 to 15, now I'm impacting not only those 8 to 10 people, but all the people in their business that they see. And that impact kind of multiplies. It really, you do feel a lot more empowered and able to get that message out and that word out and help more people than just seeing that one-on-one patient for the day. So I love that. But yeah, Allie, if you don't mind, go ahead and dive in a little bit. Tell us a little bit about the program and what you do and how you help people.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. What I will tell you is this. So a lot of people, and especially those of your listeners out there who are thinking, gosh, how I do want to do something like this. How can I do this? And get a little bit nervous. I do want to say that there is kind of a learning curve. And during your learning curve, like for example, I'm a coach and I'm going to tell you about exactly what I do, but start coaching people for free now. Now, because this is the thing. You want to start making money when you're ready. So you want to be really damn good when you start. And so that's one of the things I did. I have given away thousands and thousands of dollars of coaching just to be able to help me become the level I want to be. And so while I call myself a physician coach, actually my focus is on optimal mental, physical, and emotional health. And so really what I do is, it's really nice having Mark's backing as a psychiatrist. We use a cognitive based model where essentially we help, we go through thought distortions and we really help women physicians be able to start seeing their thoughts. And also, not to mention, really starting to process their emotions so they can gain more contentment, less restlessness, less anxiety, all those different types of things that we really, struggle with, especially in this day and age. But where my passion really falls in and how I tie it all together is there's a huge physical component. And so I went ahead and I got certified in obesity medicine, which has been great. I don't use it so much. I'm not really a weight loss coach, but I'm an optimal health coach. And so I really help women go ahead and really respect what their bodies can do, learn to fall in love with their bodies again, and also really start to create, strong bodies. And so we do a lot of strength training work within my programs. And I'll tell you, my clients are probably 35 to 65 is my age range. And so one of the big things that happens is we lose muscle. Well, you know this, I'm telling you all the stuff, but we lose muscle mass. We start kind of losing it gradually and slowly. And so a lot of the women that are coming to me have no idea how to strength train. They didn't know that it was possible for them. They thought it would make them bulky. And now they're going ahead and they're so empowered. So I use physical movement to help women empower themselves from a mental and also emotional standpoint. And it's all come together and we have a community. So I have a membership. It's kind of my entry level point where Mark's coming into that one and we do new topics every month. We have about 10 to 12 live calls every month. We do live workouts. We do yoga. We have a Facebook group. We have tons of content. I have a nutritional program that I've created and they get all that in there. My models are based on intuitive eating meets science to try to really go ahead and give people their optimal results that they want. Mostly body composition is what I'm looking at. And then that kind of feeds into, I have a CME program. It's a 72 credit CME program. That's the continuing medical education. It's 6 months long and we do a mental, emotional, and physical transformation. So that's pretty awesome. We launch that twice a year. So kind of the steps are they go to society, come into transform, but sometimes they come right into transform. That's the name of the CME program. If they love transform, they can stay and become a graduate. I have a whole graduate program where we do advanced topics every month. And again, we're working out together 4 times a week live. We do coaching calls 2 to 3 times a week. And then I have a one-on-one program. That's a really high-end program. I only take about 15 people max for the entire year. And they do my membership group. They do my transform group, my transform graduates. They do retreats. So I have 2 retreats for them a year and they do one-on-one coaching with me. And that kind of came from no business training. I just kind of felt and listened to what my people wanted and needed. And that's kind of how it evolved.
And it's funny, so many people come in initially like, hey, I think I need to lose weight, right? And that is a symptom, not the end goal necessarily. So really what they don't recognize is that they have negative thoughts about themselves and all they see is this negative perception of themselves in the mirror. But these women are so impressive. Since I've jumped in recently, adding content, I've been able to add, we have a Q&A called Did I Screw Up My Kid? Which is a fan favorite. We also have today in a little bit, we're going to be talking about our relationship. We throw it out there and we are not perfect. Every week we are working on this. And so as much as as Allie's teaching it, we try to live it as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge point. When you start with a message and a message that you feel is important enough that you have to get out there, you really do have to keep beating that drum. You have to, own it. You have to live it. You have to, because especially nowadays, people, the general public even is getting more educated as to, who's coaching, who's doing this course, what are their credentials, what does it mean, And so I think it's only beneficial to course creators and to, coaches, that you have this medical knowledge and this medical background, because it really does elevate you to that level of like, hey, look, like not only do I know this stuff, but I'm also living it. Like this is my real life and I believe in this stuff, So I think that really sets you off on a good starting point, to at least put it out there and market it and say, hey, this is the real deal, real life, take it or leave it, and that, to me, that authenticity really goes a long way. I feel like people really, they thrive on that nowadays, especially because everything on social media is, happy, loving unicorns and, rainbows. So it's, I just don't think that's always necessarily the reality, especially in healthcare. And I think that's being exposed over the last 2 years. So I'm glad that you guys are living it and putting it out there for everybody to see and benefit from. So thank you for that. What are some tips or tricks or pointers that you've learned along the way? I know, Ali, you brought up a good one, is coach the heck out of people for free right now, get started. I did that as well. For my business program, I started just giving it away for free and testing it and seeing what worked and what didn't, and then asking for feedback. And that was a great way to learn. But what are some other tips and tricks or pointers that you would give to people looking to start, something like this, or start on the side hustle journey?
Yeah, I think I have one of the strongest tips I could probably give, which I don't think a lot of people are going to really want to hear. Learn to do everything in your business first before you hire it out. You have to know you're going to become the CEO of your business. You have to learn the inner workings of everything. I messed up. I'm telling you, I've made a lot of mistakes, and I thought that, okay, it'd be a really good idea to go ahead and get a marketing team where I'm paying thousands a month. I have no idea what the hell I'm marketing. Right. So how are they going to help me? Right. So like knowing, how do I put posts up? How do I schedule things? How do I make acuity scheduling? How do I make appointments? What do I do when something goes wrong? Know all those things so that you can hire your dream team. The way you'll be able to scale is that you'll be able to hire a dream team. So we're kind of in the process of now curating a dream team. We do not have a big team right now. We literally have 9 contracted coaches who are very, very part-time. We have a virtual assistant who is going part-time. So we're looking to hire a second virtual assistant, and Mark's coming on board, and that's our team. But I know I can run a funnel. I can manage my social media account. I can do all the things. And I think that's super important for somebody starting out. Don't try to rush it and get big too quick. Really understand how to get really good at being small first.
Yeah, I was going to go with know your ideal client and really have it mapped out, because you want to make sure you're delivering, and I would say over deliver. And that's something that you're really good at. So many people come into the membership and they say, oh my God, I'm getting all of this for this price. Initially there may be sticker shock when it comes to wait, why am I paying this much? But when you know your ideal client that is going to want to stay on with you and you've over delivered, they're never leaving. And they're probably going to go up that hierarchy of services. So really make sure you have something to offer for everyone in that that fits that ideal client level.
That's a really great point, because the other piece to that is that your best clients are going to be people that already bought from you. So find out who they are, serve them really well, and then keep developing things. And that's my opinion too. I think that sometimes people say, no, this is what I got. These are my products. I'll get more people. And I like to get people, don't get me wrong. I like to grow new audience. I really like to grow a new audience actually, but I think the commitment to serving. So a lot of times when I could be marketing to new people, actually what I'm doing is I'm just giving it inside to my people to give them more value. So I think I do less outward marketing and I do more internal work to be able to provide more value. And that is how I maintain that over delivery. I have younger colleagues who are just coming out now that are charging 50% more than I charge for my group programs. And people laugh at my membership because it's $147 a month and they get 12 live trainings. I mean, it's really like the best thing going. But a lot of times when people see the lower price, they think, oh, well, what am I really getting? right? But I do that on purpose because I want it to be available and I want people to get their feet wet and I want them to check it out and see what's possible for them.
Yeah, I mean, you guys both hit really great tips there. I think, Mark, like you said, knowing your audience, your avatar, your ideal customer, I think that's, huge, because that is probably the best way that you're going to be able to serve them is if you really know who they are. You put a name and a face to them and a background and, likes and dislikes, hobbies, things they want to do, things they want to get into, that knowing that ideal customer goes a long way. And Allie, I think you also bring up a good point where it's like over deliver is it's just part of serving people. It's why you kind of got into this. We all got into the healthcare field because we cared. We wanted to help people, and I think we still have that, but it's just finding another outlet for that now. So I definitely appreciate those tips and those pointers for the audience. But guys, I can't thank you enough for coming on and for giving your time to just kind of educate the audience on things that can be done, beyond just the 9 to 5 clock in, clock out healthcare practitioner, or in some cases, the 24-hour overnight call healthcare practitioners. But where can people find you if they want to reach out to you and find out more about the program or what you guys are up to these days?
That's great. It's really easy. So my website is just www.lifecoachingforwomenphysicians.com. And we have everything right there. So we have a blog, we have a podcast, we have all the offerings we have, and we're about to start some other pretty new and exciting stuff too. So again, that'll all be available on the website.
Awesome. I'll put the link in the show notes there so everybody can get there very easily. Mark and Allie, thank you so much. Appreciate your time and can't wait to hear how things go in the future.
Thanks so much, Dr. Feil.
Yeah, thank you so much.